Hello and welcome back to the channel, and we rejoin our character creation session. We were about to start term 2 of Fiora Hessel, our army now captain. Slight blemish at the end of the first term. We tried to re-enlist and got a close shave, with the result, and I quote from my little table, disciplinary action, behavioural issues, and trust issues. Now, I thought it's probably more, if it's the army, it's going to be some sort of disciplinary action, maybe to do with your behaviour. I just took it upon myself to do a quick little table in my little notebook, and I thought, right, I'm just going to try and get the reason for it. She's obviously she's managed to re-enlist. Maybe it was disciplinary. It didn't lead to anything serious, like a court-martial or being ejected from the military. She's obviously been cleared of the accusation, but it'd be quite interesting to find out just exactly what she's been in trouble for. So I just jotted down a few things off the top of my head from what I would have thought. It could be something to do with, say there'd been a bereavement and she's been absent without, kind of gone a bit AWOL. It could have been a sort of mental health thing. It could be a health issue. Maybe she had some serious. She contracted something nasty in this world. She might have had a genuine accident, so it might look so she had to be invalided out. And then maybe a misconduct thing. She could have been involved in harassment, abuse of authority. It's quite serious. Another misconduct one would be excessive use of force. Maybe when in the police action, she'd gone a bit too heavy-handed in some of the natives, or maybe she was involved in a brawl when she was off duty, and she kind of used some of her military skills to a bit too much effect on a local, and then recklessness. Maybe she's done something just a bit over the top, and she's been kind of reprimanded for that. So something like maybe failure to obey an order. This is a direct military thing. Or an offence against the morale of the unit. Maybe she's done something to bring the morale down, or something that's not good, kind of for an officer to set an example. The classic disrespect towards a superior officer. She could have, that's going to happen probably quite a lot, but she's maybe articulated a little bit too strongly. And then the classic, the drug and alcohol abuse. And maybe even criminal activity where she's had accusations. So it's all pretty nasty stuff. But let's I thought let's just randomize this and find out what the reason for Fiora. Give a bit of a backstory to this. So we get a 3, and that's a misconduct, excessive use of force, or recklessness. So what's it going to be? Is it going to be that maybe she was driving that air raft in a kind of wild manner while she was off duty, or was she maybe pummeling one of the natives a bit too much in the local bar? 1 to 3 is the first. Yeah, so she had an excessive use of force. So maybe in the one of the police actions that she was involved in, there's been a complaint by a native that it's just been far too much use of force. The army's investigated it. There's been maybe just a bit of a hiccup in some of the proceedings. She's maybe not kind of put her case forward very well. So it's actually come to a bit of touch and go when it came to re-enlistment, and it came up in their review. But she's managed to scrape her way through. And she's, they said, that's your last chance, Fiora. You've got to clean up your act, stop battering the natives, and start behaving like an Imperium Army captain, you have been warned. So, that having been done, we can start term 2. So term 2 begins with the captaincy, and the things that we need to roll for. It's kind of limited. We've got to do our survival roll, and we know that we have a good education, so we're going to get the automatic DM of +2. So let's see how we get on with the survival. 6. It's not great. So that's, yes, we do survive. That sounds so maybe it's maybe hotted up a bit. This could be about the same time as all the kind of war stuff that was happening when we had some of the other characters. I'll just get my sheet, the other characters. Yeah, so Bastian, he was involved in a war round about this time, so it's kind of coterminous. The only thing that you've got to actually be aware of when you are doing this character generation is that these things aren't maybe coterminous, because well, I say fortunate, it's actually manifested itself that we had 2 terms, so they've gone in parallel according to that. However, say Fiora actually managed to do 3 terms, so she'll almost like predate term 1 of Saria by 1. So her term 1 will effectively be term -1 of Saria. Or say Saria's term 1 will be term 2 of Fiora if she does 3. So we almost have to kind of mesh the histories. So I can't say, well, actually that's that war. That war is maybe already started, or it's still in the future for Fiora. I think I'm starting to get into like time travel type stuff. Put it this way, we're going to have to try and sync it up when we see what the full service history. So this kind of cross-fertilization can't really happen until we get to the end. And then maybe we can start linking up. This is where maybe we can start working on the relationship between the characters. And say, well, this is the reason. Maybe these two are, Bastian and Fiora. They share the same service. Maybe they shared a tour of duty together, and that's how they know each other. And then they've been discharged on our starting world, and for some reason they've ended up speaking to each other in the Star Hotel, which is this thing that I'm saying this Dragon Corporation is going to be running. And I think the view is that they all get discharged on our starting world, and this starting world is I'm going to treat very much like I have in my AD&D game. I have a place called Marston, which is the starting town, the starting settlement, and that's treated quite especially as being a kind of safe haven for the characters. And within that, there is a green dragon inn, which acts in the same way that this Star Hotel will act in the campaign, the Traveller campaign. But we're not at that stage yet, so it's really just to sort of lay the ground rules, and just say that we might have a bit of a disconnect on time at this stage. So I've kind of lost where I was going. Yes, so she basically survived that bit of police action. The only thing that she needs to go for now in this term is promotion. And the promotion was, this is what we said about Bastian, it's going to be academic, but it wasn't, I don't think he got promoted. So let's see what we get here. So it's a 6+, we get a +1, so it's a 5+ to get promotion this term. So let's see how we get on. Yes, 7, we get it. We either pass the exam to get to the next rank is major, so that's rank 3, so that's good. So I'll put that down here, promotion. we get to major. And also, there's no service rank or service skills. In fact, the army, we've gone through everything that we're going to get. We will get access to some of these special ones. Yeah, my amendment. And again, we'll get access to level 1 survival in our second term. So, basic training. Fiora does a bit of basic training and gets survival 1. So that's an automatic accruing of survival. Now that she's stayed on, she must have, and maybe that was part of her special majors training and the exam. You know, she had to do it on a survival course, and with the men and try to see how they could survive in a hostile environment. Maybe this planet that they're on just now isn't really, it's really just a kind of civilian operation that they're involved in, and they may be sent to something, you know, even in the actual star system itself, there are, you know, when this is the thing about Traveller, it focuses on the important planet, or, you know, it could be a space station or whatever in the system. But there is nothing to say that the other planets don't have maybe some less important but still populated, or, you know, even being used for something like the gas giants and the moons round about it. You know, they could be a whole. You know, when you think of our solar system, you know, we've got nine planets. Well, I think it's 8 now because Pluto's been demoted. You know, I never really think that's okay. I always think of Pluto as a planet. But, you know, that's the same thing. And I suppose a lot of our science fiction is based on things like colonies on the moons of Jupiter, you know, like Ganymede and Callisto and all that kind of stuff, Io. And then, you know, stuff around Saturn with Titan and that type of stuff. So there could be something similar going on in any of the Traveller star systems, which opens up a whole other dimension. And maybe I want to draw that in at some stage, you know, because even in say the starting world, that's where the characters are going to start. But who's to say that, you know, the actual star system won't have some interesting planetoids or maybe moons go around the gas giant, and the, you know, the kind of the intersystem type travel is always quite interesting. You get to fly around and they don't have to be jump ships all the time. You know, it's quite good fun just flying around in an interplanetary type vehicle. Okay. On the so we will get our promotion. We got that. So what we do is we get a service skill because of our for per subsequent term of service we get 1, and upon receiving a promotion. So great, we get two skills that we can train for. So let's see what do we really need. So physical development. She's already got. It'd be quite nice to maybe get another strength, so that we can use this sword effectively and get a positive. That'd be nice. Our dexterity, yeah, we wouldn't mind getting that up. So, you know, these are on offer. You know, the endurance, maybe it's not important because we've got a high endurance. Gambling, education. Yeah, we don't really need education. And a bit more brawling, you know, she could really get, you know, that's what she got last time. Let's do one on personal development. And this might tie in with the survival stuff that she's been doing. So she's been kind of focusing on our physical side. And also, oh, I think I'm looking at the wrong one. Is that one? Yes, this one here. We went on this one before. Maybe she wants a bit more kind of a skill type stuff. I think we should be using maybe our advanced education and see if we can pick up some of this stuff. Yeah, so we'll do one on this one, and it's part of her major. you know, getting up to major, she's maybe done some specialism and done a special assignment and maybe picked up one of these. So let's do the personal development first. And we get a 2. Okay, so +1 dexterity. So her agility goes up. That's good. So that goes up to 9. That's our first one. And then on the advanced education table, so she's gone on some sort of course. You know, it could be up to like 6 months secondment. And she gets leader. Yes. Now that seems appropriate. You know, she's now a major. Should have expected her to get some theoretical training on leadership and how it's actually applied in the field, so she can think out of the box and provide that kind of cohesion for her units and unit integrity. She knows all about that good stuff. So, you know, she's marrying up theory and practice and displaying it in the field. So this sounds like it's been a successful term of service. Maybe not too much action, you know, maybe a bit more than the first term. Maybe she's been involved in some skirmishing now. She's done an awful lot of outdoor pursuits. Maybe that's ended up in some combat situations, and she's demonstrated that she can cut the mustard when it comes to leadership. And maybe all the things that got her into trouble with the rather you know, over the top behaviour, and the fact that she maybe was a bit too aggressive with the local population. She's got put that back in its box, and she's got it under control now, and she's showing it being a responsible imperial citizen. So we get to the killer thing for the army, which is re-enlistment, and you have to get quite a high threshold. It's a 7+, so let's do it. See if she gets on to term 3. None of our characters have progressed beyond this point. So is Fiora going to buck the trend? She does, yes. She gets in pretty comfortably. Nothing out of the ordinary. She can go on to. So we have a first. We have a term 3. This is cause for celebration. The dancing in the streets of this planet. Fiora is now probably likely to get to Lieutenant Colonel, which is probably in charge of a battalion or a large a unit of that kind of size. So we have to go through the procedure again. We cycle through, and the first thing is to do a survival roll, and we need a 3+ to survive. So let's see how Fiora gets on. Ooh, close shave. Right. Okay. Nothing is. I tell you, these characters have really done the business on delivering thrills and spills. You name it. You know, it hasn't just been a nice, simple. Let's get through the process. Get up to like 5 terms, and you've got this cracking marine. We are being put through the mill. So I get my survival roll instance table out, and remember that Fiora survives this. There's no long-term injury, whatever. However, she's involved in something on this table. So we'll get our red dice and our black dice, and let's see what happens. So that's 3 and a 6. It's the religious revolution, pogrom, victim of discrimination, target of local prejudice and anger. Right. So let's see how we can cover this. So a pogrom is probably, that's where a majority the you know, the majority in the population victimize and basically disrupt the life of a minority, and they actually have physical assaults. They maybe destroy property, and it's in a kind of organized manner. So she's not going to be involved in that, because that's more if it's a civilian thing, and it would be aimed against if she was, say, in a minority. There could be a religious revolution going on in this planet. I think that sounds quite likely. The one that she's gone to for her basic training and her survival training, maybe it's very remote, and the people on it are quite extreme, and maybe a religious theme is developing there. Victim of discrimination, again, I would say that's probably a bit more of a, if you were in a civilian pursuit. Target of local prejudice, well, it could be, maybe they don't like the fact that the army are being stationed. So let's go for local prejudice, anger. Let's go for 1 to 3, religious revolution. 5, 4 to 6. They don't like the army present. There's the xenophobic attitude to the army in this thing. So let's go for 1 to 3. This religious revolution. No, it's there's a bit of xenophobia. Maybe there's some quite a bit of local disquiet. The army being stationed, and for this term of service, particularly maybe there's been some incidents with the local population. This is obviously nothing to do with what Fiora was involved in the previous term, or the end of the previous term, because she's on a different planet now. But this seems to be almost like following her around to the local population. So, either she's causing problems for them, or they're causing problems for her. So I would say maybe she was involved in an incident. She wasn't directly assaulted, but maybe one of her colleagues was badly hurt. There could have been things like a bit of stone throwing or something, or maybe the Molotov cocktail thrown out of their air raft, that type of thing. She's had an escape, but she's been involved in some form of altercation with local populace. It hasn't really ended too well. She's managed to escape. Been a bit of a close shave. So we can put that in altercation, local. So not a very nice thing to happen during that term. Okay, and she hasn't really had too much maybe combat, maybe not too much frontline duty, just fighting the enemy. It's been much more kind of police actions, local skirmishing. But this is army life. It's not always in mainstream wars. And now we go for lieutenant colonel. We need a promotion of 6+ to do that. We get +1, so it's a 5+ to do this. So let's see what we get. Yes, we flying colours. We get to go on our nice positive table. We roll a d6 for a positive. Let's see what we get, a commendation or something. We get a 4. This is a nice one. Display heroism in battle. Go beyond call of duty. Intense period of work. It has to be the heroism in battle, isn't it? Yes. So we get rewarded. We have maybe we are involved in some form of conflict. It's like a skirmish with some deviants. Maybe it could even be xenomorphs or some form of alien. And I'm thinking maybe introduce at this stage. Basically this traveler universe that I want to have. I've already said that there's going to be an Imperium. It's maybe suffering. It's getting frayed at the edges with internal issues. But I haven't really said too much about the external landscape. And I thought, well, maybe this is an opportunity just to introduce some of the ideas that I've got on what I want in terms of aliens and any other powers that are in operation. So in the traditional Third Imperium universe, you've got this large established Third Imperium, and it's surrounded by these hostiles, or sometimes they're hostile, sometimes they're not. And it's a combination of different type of alien cultures, and some would classify it as human cultures, just different strains of this kind of uplifting that the ancients have done. Um, but I'm saying that I'm probably not going to have an equivalent of, say, the Zidani, a large human opposition. I'm going to say that my Imperium, the Imperium of man, is mainly a human dominated and human occupied uh, um, empire. There are a few client non-humans and aliens that we could probably come to. And in terms of alien opposition that we can identify, I want to bring in the first one I've got is what I call my Andriodan collective. And this is basically a machine race collective of nomadic cybernetic organisms organized in wandering citadels. So this is it's a bit like the Cylon types, maybe not as I'm not saying that these are going to be large empires. These are more kind of smaller, more irritant factors on, chipping away at the edge of the Imperium. And they have things like cyborg infantry, and I've kind of modeled them on this. I remember that in the prequels for Star Wars, there were these B2 super battle droids, and they were not the little ones that went Roger Roger and were kind of useless, and got the ones that were a bit bigger and could put their arm out in front of them and kind of blast, and they were quite a bit more the kind of the business. So they're kind of modeled on that, and then they have walkers, which are, if you remember Robocop and the famous Ed 209, the one that went malfunctioned and went kind of AWOL and crazy. They're going to be kind of like that. And I call them kind of vulture units. And then we have these massive versions, massive walkers called malignants that kind of dominate the battlefield, and a bit like your battle tech type stuff. So this is your classic machine-based culture, no emotion. Basically they want to turn everybody into safety pins. It's that type. They've got just like a one-track kind of mind, and it's all about just destroying biological life. So that they're a bit nasty to come into. I've got my bug insectoid race, the Krillian Combine, xenophobic hive society, brain and a hive mind. Maybe modelled a bit on the Starship Troopers aliens. Maybe not as big and aggressive, maybe smaller versions, kind of like large ants. And then I've got, I always like having a Saurian type reptilian race. That's always one of my favorites. So I thought I'm gonna have to get one of them in on the act. So I've got my Dracon realm. It's a Saurian caste warrior culture, kind of Khanate type thing. You can have all sorts of fun with that. And then, I mentioned the human cultures. They're going to be things like smaller federations, combinations, and mini empires. And there's no equivalent of, say, a big Zidani state. The human stuff, if they do splinter off the Imperium, they're going to be small beer. And then I've got a few other kind of things that I want to bring in as part of the lore. But I just thought maybe just to kind of, in terms of reference, when I'm talking about aliens, they're not really going to be popping up all over the place in this setting. They're going to be rare. And I think, because you go all the way through like Frank Herbert's Dune and you don't come across any aliens, it's just all humans. And there is a view that, non-human life might be very rare even in our galaxy and even in our universe. So it's not to say that that's not following some sort of kind of scientific basis. Okay, but I think I've completely veered off term 3. We've got to get back. We've passed our survival role we've had heroic. Let's get back to the heroic action. What was it said? I've lost my little sheet. Yes. Oh no, that's the. There we go. Display heroism in battle. So we've got this one. Heroism in battle. So we've got this altercation we had with locals. That's the reason for the survival. But then we've had a larger skirmish with some real opposition, and Fiora's shown heroism, leading as a major, and maybe actually personally storming a hill and planting the flag of the Imperium on the summit. It's all that kind of stuff. It's very, very exciting. Okay, so that's good. So that's just a survival thing, and then to see whether it can round it off with a nice promotion to. In fact, that was the promotion. I'm getting all mixed up. I've been talking about these aliens for too long. That's the reason. The reason we got the promotion. It was the yes. So let's get back to the actual skills. So we get 1 for being in our service for 4 years, and we get 1 for our promotion, so we're getting entitled to 2. And we also get the special chance of getting survival 2 if we get 3 or more, and we get a 10+ roll for that. So let's see whether we can get up to survival 2. No, we can't. So that's a chance that we've missed on that one. And on the acquired skills, shall we go again first? We've got 2 of. Do we want to have a bit more depth in some of our skills? We've got leader now, rifle. Maybe we could do with getting our actual combat skills up a wee bit. So let's go for, let's do a bit of this, because then we can get access to gun combat. Maybe this one's better, the advanced education. So we'll do advanced education, and let's do a service skill as well. So we'll do these 2 ones. Yeah, let's do that. We're going a bit more kind of like just getting our teeth into the actual operations of the army. So on this table first, we get a 5, blade combat. So let's keep that limited to our swords. So we're up to a 2 on that. That's good. And then on the advanced education table, we get a 6. Oh good, gun combat. So we're up to rifle 2. Let's take it on rifle, not some machine gun. It's a bit more kind of maybe marksmanship practice. Being a lieutenant colonel now, because I better put promotion in, because that's the reason we got display of heroism. We got an award. Maybe we've got a medal now. That's good. Promotion to lieutenant colonel. We're decorated. We're top of our game just now. We're doing a great job. We have to come to the re-enlistment role. So I feel that we're nicely buoyed by everything. We're going to smash this one, I'm sure. Get on to turn 4. Sounds like Fiora is heading towards a successful career. So am I going to win a 10 fate? So I'm going to come crashing down. No, it's an 8, so we do pass. So we're on to turn. Nothing, no events on that one. We're on to turn 4 now. So this is, we might actually start getting into, we're not into aging yet. So term of service 4. When we get to the next one, what we might do is we actually might just stop before we start hitting the age thing. It might be an idea, you know, sometimes it's quite nice to have a younger characters. I don't really like the idea of maybe having too much difference between, you know, maybe get to 38 and top it off. Let's see how we get on with this one. Yeah. I think we'll just suck it and see. So let's do the survival roll. We need a 3+ on survival. Let's see if there's any more close shaves. 8, so that's fine. So we survive, and we survive quite comfortably. So again, maybe not too much action for this one. It's probably her job now as Lieutenant Colonel. It's involving a lot more paperwork and administration, and kind of just in control of her unit. Maybe not as much actual direct military operation. You know, who's to say that she's not just maybe put in some form of garrison duty again? There's no real kind of conflict going on. And then we go for our promotion. We need a 5+. So this is to get us to Colonel. And this might be a nice way just to get out and kind of put a line in the sand on Fiora. So we pass. What is there? So we do get we've got a 3+ on that, so we can roll on our positive table and see what we get. So get the D6 out. We got a 2 on the positive, and 2 on positive means receive commendation. So we get a commendation. Nice one. So maybe the unit did do something, military exercises, or you know, something that you know, Fiora's shown a lot of leadership qualities in directing her unit, and in say on maneuvers. We've all been part of a large army exercise, you know, at a divisional level. She's been a bit of a standout in the war game simulations that I've been doing, and she's got a commendation out of it. And she's also become promotion to Colonel. Colonel Fiora Hezal. Yeah, quite impressive, isn't it? We roll again for survival to see whether we can get up to 2. So we don't. And we get entitled to 2 skills because of our promotion and our service. So if this is going to be our last one, what would be nice? What she got as our little skill set? We're quite good on combat. We're pretty good in a fight. Yeah, we can drive things. We're quite good, yeah. Maybe some more skills to do with what would be nice. Maybe none of these ones. One of these might be quite nice. And yeah, let's go for advanced education and the one that requires high education. Almost like access to what the army can give us in our last, you know, because I think I'd quite like just to maybe stop after this. Maybe I need some form of random mechanism in. There is a facility in this that if you roll a 12, you're not allowed to resign. You have to actually carry on. You know, things like there's been a war declared, and you know they can't let you go, that kind of thing. But I'm just wondering whether I need something over and above to say, well, you know, Brian, you can't really make that decision on behalf of this character. There should be some form of random mechanism. But I think maybe at this stage, Yeah, as I say, I don't really want there to be too much of a disconnect between the characters. And I think the age thing might start to impinge on that a bit and just make it less of a cohesive force. She's already got, quite a lot of. She'll have quite a bit of gravitas in the party now because of her experience and her age. Maybe that's sufficient. So let's do this one first, the advanced education. Let's see what we get. We get a 1. So vehicle, good. Vehicle we've got to choose immediately from aircraft, grav vehicle, tracked vehicle, watercraft, or wheeled. I think, shall we go for tracked vehicle? I thought maybe wheeled vehicle might be useful. So let's do vehicle 1, and we'll say it's wheeled. It's a bit more versatile, that one. In civilian life, you're not really going to be driving around and track stuff that much. Well, maybe not. And also on the advanced education, the one that you need quite a bit of like a university background for. 6, admin again. So she really is into her admin. She has found her little niche. She can run circles around all this red tape, cut through, get to the chase. She can run rings around all these little bureaucrats. She is the lady to have on your side if you want to get through customs or deal with the faceless bureaucracy of the Imperium, which is probably going to be one of these monoliths that we have to come up against. Okay. Right, I am going to make a decision and say that Fiora has decided to curtail her career. She feels like she's done enough. She wants to get out. There's something calling her and saying, Fiora, there's more to life than just this regular army. Maybe there's just something that's just she's just almost like a bit bored by the situation. She hasn't seen maybe enough action, enough excitement, just to get the juices flowing. She thinks a traveler's life maybe is the one. While I'm still young, before I get all the horrible aging, let's go for it. And so when it comes to re-enlistment, she goes to her commanding officer, the general. She says, I've had a really good career. I've really enjoyed my time in the army. It's taught me everything I know. It's taken me off this backwater world that I was on, which is called, what was it called again? It was the Vespasian. It's quite a nice name, isn't it? Yeah, Vespasian. Beautiful name, but a bit boring. It was maybe it was. I was thinking maybe it was a bit It's if it's non-industrial, maybe it's a tourism place. It's got a really nice name. It could be like a beautiful planet. It's got lovely scenery, high mountains. Perfect blue sky. Beautiful, but just a bit on the dull side. And again, she's you rescued the army rescued me from the dullness of that beautiful place. And I've had lots of good assignments. However, I feel that my time has come and I want to leave. And he says, yeah, that's fine. Let's see whether you can. And we get a 4. So easily we get discharged. So that's the end of Fiora. She is now age 34. And let's see what we get entitled to. We'll probably get a lot of mustering out stuff. Because if you look at this this table, for mustering out, per terms of service, we get 1. So we've done, that's 4. If rank 1 or 2, we get 1. We are now rank 5. So we've really hit the jackpot for mustering out. So that's 3 plus 4, 7 rolls on these tables. So let's see. Characters with rank 5 or 6 may add +1 to the rolls on this table. Gun and blade benefits must be declared by type immediately. Additional benefit of gun or blade may be declared as skill in a weapon of the type previously taken. So that's what this means, that if I get a gun first time, I get a gun. If I get a gun again, it's a skill in the gun. I don't get like 2 guns. So that's how that works. So I think probably let's do a 4 on this and 3 on this. Or maybe a 5 on this. Let's go 4, 3. And this Fiora might generate a nice big healthy cash balance. All the other characters are rather impoverished. So let's go for the first one on table 1. See what we get. 5. That's high passage. Oh, we get +1, don't we? May add +1 to the rolls on this table. So we do get the choice. I think that's how we interpreted it last when we used to do it. With characters with rank 5 or 6, may add +1. So we get the choice. So that's quite good actually. So +1 to 5 is either a high passage or a mid. Well, it's definitely going to be a high passage, isn't it? So we get high passage. So first one. Next one. 1. We definitely don't want a low passage, so we'll add 1. We get +1 intelligence. So +1 to intelligence, that's good. Up to B. So that's 2. So we've done 2. And then we get another one. We get 2. That is either +1 intelligence or +2 education. Yeah, I think our education is pretty high anyhow. Yes, let's get another +1 to intelligence. So we've gone through a lot, maybe there's intensive programming being done, all this downloading of stuff, using advanced, sophisticated techniques, psychometric testing. She's been through everything. This is all part of maybe her officer training, to go up to colonel. She's actually had a special thing for her last year. She knows she's going to leave. She says, right, I'm really going to dial everything up to 10 to get my to improve my intellectual faculties. I really want to focus on that, and it's kind of almost life-changing the way that she can see everything now. And she gets one final on this table, which is a 5. And we could get another high passage. I don't know whether you're allowed to 2 high passages. That doesn't really seem to make much sense. And why would you get a middle passage? I think I'll just roll that one again, because I don't think you should be able to duplicate that. We get a 5 again. It's obviously saying 4. So okay, well, we've got a gun. So all right, we got a gun, and that's 4 on that. So we've got 3 for the cash, and we can do them at once. We get 1, 2, and a 4. So on the credits, we get 2,000. That's 7,000. 17,000. Credits 17,000. Good. Okay, right. I can see the time. It's carrying on. Let's finish with Fiora now. And we have the prospect of Kira, the cruel marine from the agricultural planet of Primax, is going to be first up on the plate for the next episode. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun with and find out a bit more why she's so cruel. She is quite, she's a kind of pretty nasty kind of person. You know, is it nature or is it nurture? You know, that's what we're going to find out. Okay, let's do that next time. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.